What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching. Today, we're going to go over the top 10 most popular Vanguard ETF funds. If you're not sure what an ETF is, the most simplified version is basically an ETF is a bunch of stocks combined into one stock. So you can think of a bunch of stocks condensed into one as an ETF. Vanguard, if you're not familiar with Vanguard is one of the largest investment firms in the United States. They offer a bunch of different ETFs, mutual funds, and just a bunch of other financial related services. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on in. So number one is going to be VOO, V-O-O. And VOO is an S&P 500 ETF fund, one of the most popular funds that Vanguard actually offers. I'm sure a lot of you have probably heard about VOO. If you haven't, VOO's main goal is to track the price pattern of the S&P 500 index, which is the top 500 most valuable companies in the United States. VOO has an expense ratio of 0.03% per year and has over $270 billion of assets under management. All right, and number two is VTI, which is a total stock market ETF. It's similar to VOO. The only difference is that it's going to have more medium and small cap companies combined in with the index. So there's a lot more companies. The VOO only has 500 because it's tracking the S&P 500, to whereas VTI has over 3,000 companies within the fund itself. So it basically has a lot more US companies, a lot more broader reach of US companies within the fund. VTI also has a 0.03% expense ratio per year and manages over $280 billion in assets. All right, number three is VGT. VGT is Vanguard's tech fund. It includes 341 stocks within the fund itself, which are all tech-related stocks. This fund has a 0.10% expense ratio and manages around $55 billion in assets. And number four is VB. VB is a Vanguard small cap fund. As you might guess, VB holds a bunch of smaller companies. These are going to be companies that have a market valuation under $1 billion. So typically either newer companies or maybe companies that are still kind of struggling to grow or trying to figure out how to grow. VB has an expense ratio of 0.05% per year and has $50 billion in assets under management. So this could be a good fund if you're just looking to have more exposure to smaller companies. A lot of like VTI and VOO, like they're very top heavy. Although VTI does have mid to small cap companies within the fund still weighs very heavily towards large cap companies. So if you do want to have more exposure to like smaller companies, VB would be a great fund to add to your portfolio. All right, number five, we have VUG. VUG is Vanguard's growth fund. All of the companies within this fund are large cap companies and are selected by Vanguard by a specific criteria of having high growth potential in the future. There are 280 companies within this fund, and the fund has a 0.04% expense ratio. It also has $87 billion in assets under management. All right, number six is going to be VNQ. VNQ is a real estate fund or a REIT. It holds 170 stocks within the fund, and it's a great way to get exposure to the commercial real estate sector in the United States. It does have some residential real estate exposure into the fund, but it definitely weighs heavily towards commercial real estate. The fund has an expense ratio of 0.12% per year and has around $47 billion of assets under management. All right, number seven is VT, which is a total world Vanguard fund. And the purpose of this fund is to try to get exposure to the entire world or the global economy. So there's a mixture of a bunch of different stocks from all over the world, emerging markets, United States, and other international markets are all combined within this fund. This fund has an expense ratio of 0.08% per year and has $25 billion in assets under management. Number eight is VWO, which is Vanguard's emerging market fund. So these are going to be more developing economies with a lot of growth potential. But with that growth potential also has a lot more risk since these economies are not well developed. There is a lot more risk involved with these companies that are building within these economies. So according to Vanguard, VWO tracks emerging market stocks, excluding South Korea. So South Korea is not included within this fund, any South Korean stocks. So these are going to be like your Chinese stock, Brazil stocks, India stocks, and etc. This fund has an expense ratio of 0.10% per year and has $80 billion of assets under management. So a great fund to get exposure to emerging markets or just newer markets if you want to try to add some of that potential growth exposure to your portfolio. Okay, and number nine, we have VYM, which is Vanguard's high dividend yield fund. So basically this fund combines a bunch of what Vanguard has targeted as stable dividend companies and combines them all together and builds just one big dividend fund. It does attempt to target more of the higher paying dividend companies, and it excludes any REITs. So it's only actual stocks or companies No real estate is included within this fund. The fund currently pays a 2.7% dividend yield. It has a 0.06% expense ratio and has $40 billion of assets under management. Some of the dividend stocks that are within this fund include JP Morgan, Johnson & Johnson, Home Depot, Bank of America, Procter & Gamble. So some really well-known dividend stocks. Okay, number 10, BND, which is Vanguard's total bond market fund. So as you might guess it, this fund holds over 9,000 bonds within the fund, all with maturities of at least a year. So if you're looking for exposure to the general bond market, this is a great fund to add to your portfolio. It has a 0.04% per year expense ratio and has $83 billion of assets under management. Well, that's it for today for the Vanguard funds. Let me know in the comment what your favorite Vanguard fund is. I hope you found this video helpful if you're still looking to add some more funds to your portfolio. Hopefully this video helps give you some more ideas on potential funds to do some more research on. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.